Hi, this is Linda Shea with Drilling Contractor. Today I'm reporting from Milan, Italy at the 2018 IADC International Well Control Conference. And I have with me Chris Hawks with IOGP. Chris, thank you for being here.
You're welcome, Linda. Thank you.
So can you give us a brief overview of what the IOGP has done since Macondo to prevent and mitigate well control incidents?
Yeah, sure. So right during Macondo and in the summer of 2010, we formed the Global Industry Response Group, otherwise known as the GIRG. And their remit was to look at ways of preventing such an incident, of reducing the amount of time it would take to deal with such an incident, and then to look at oil spill response technologies around both subsurface and on the surface to try and improve response capability of the industry. So since then, we've managed to form a group called the WEC, the Wells Expert Committee, again formed of all the leaders and drilling experts of our membership, which includes IADC as the contractor group are a key stakeholder in anything that we do to prevent and mitigate incidents. So through that group, we've instigated a number of work streams. So from looking at competency and training and our and human factors within well control, we've produced 476, which is the well control curriculum, which WellSharp and other well control trainings are based upon. 501, 502, 503, which are all crew resource management, non-technical skills and behavioral markers on well control incidents and well control training. So in the personnel piece, we've done quite a lot of work. We've also been working very closely with IADC on BOP reliability. And together with IADC, we formed the Joint Industry Program on Rapid S53 database, which collects BOP component failures, and through collecting and analysing those component failures, we've been working with the BOP manufacturers to improve reliability of not only components but the BOPs themselves. So of all the data that we've collected over the last couple of years, we're very pleased to say that the BOPs worked every time, but there are some failure modes that we've investigated. One such failure mode has been in small bore tubing and fittings, where just through analysing the causes of those leaks and those failures, we've been working with the manufacturers to improve the reliability of those small bore fittings, and as such, one company has reduced its BOP stack pulls by over 80%. So it's a real benefit and real bonus that we've managed to do that through our capping and containment or subsea well response and source control subcommittee. We've collected and collated all of the capability of all of our companies, all our member companies around the world. So while we all know what is available commercially through Boots and Coots and Well Control and Oil Spill Response Limited, we had less of an idea about the global capability through mutual aid. So what does Shell have? What does Chevron have? What does Exxon have? And so we've collected all of that information now. And as well as that, we're about to produce a good practice guideline for deployment of some of this technology. So around that area, we've made quite big strides in helping the industry work together to respond more effectively to a major incident. And then finally, in well standards, we've listed and collated all of the well operation standards that are out there. It's a handy guide for people. Lots of people use a combination of API standards and ISO standards and other national standards like NORSOC. So just by collecting that information together, we help to promote standardization and try to have people operate and design their wells in a similar fashion. So I think the industry's moved a long way in the 8 years since Macondo. We've still got a little ways to go, I think, especially around standardization, and lots of our member companies are going their own way on certain things like well design. So there are things that we need to work on. But actually, I think the industry is in a far, far better place than we were in 2009.
Can you also tell us a little bit about what the Wells Expert Committee has done in collaboration with the EU Offshore Authorities Group?
Through IOGP, we work with a number of regulators. We don't work with individual regulators such as BESI or the HSE, the Health and Safety Executive in the UK, but we do work with groups of regulators, and one such group is the EU Offshore Authorities Group, which is formed of the EU member countries' competent authorities and regulators. So through them, we've been advocating various well control and well-related issues. One of or a couple of the big ones are giving the industry regulators some sort of comfort in that the industry is prepared, as I've just been talking about, especially with the new offset installation equipment for shallow water response, so capping wells in shallow water, which obviously is of great interest to the EU because a lot of their wells are fairly shallow. Not so much in northern North Sea, but certainly southern North Sea and in the Mediterranean. There are some issues there that they want to be reassured that the industry is able to cope with should anything go wrong. But also one of the things that we've been able to do very recently is work with the EU on their proposal for unlimited liability in the event of a spill. And so we've been very much advocating that that's unnecessary, and that so far that has not been required and will not be required in the future because of the mutual aid and because of the existing legislation that's out there. So the indications are that they've accepted our view. So I think that's a very important thing that both ourselves and IADC have been advocating for a long time.
I understand the IOGP was recently involved in an academic study comparing goal-based versus prescriptive regulations. Can you tell us some of the findings from that study?
Yeah, that's right. So the US National Academy of Sciences was very interested in understanding the difference between goal-based regulation, some call it safety case in the UK, and Australia, or prescriptive regulation, which is more often found in the US, for example. So the study found that actually all goal-based regulation has a has a basis in prescription. So there is a set of regulations that or a bar that all companies have to meet. So actually goal-based regulation is a mixture between prescriptive regulation in some circumstances. So an example would be fire and gas requirements. So you have to have a certain amount of fire detectors, a certain amount of gas detectors, and the actions that those detectors take have to meet a certain standard. So there is some prescription in, for example, EU regulation, but the basis of the argument and the advantages of goal-based regulation is that over time, even in existing wells, the risks change and the challenges change, technology changes, and so by having a goal-based regulation, then that means that companies can respond to those changing risks and those changing conditions more effectively. And as long as they are able to demonstrate to the regulator that they're managing those risks, that they're constantly assessing those risks, and that those risks are being mitigated effectively, then the regulators are comfortable that the companies are managing these ever-changing risks. The problem with prescription and prescriptive regulation is that regulations move very slowly, and so the regulations will never be able to keep up with the changing risks and the changing technology. And this was the finding of the report. It's out there, it's available, and it's an interesting read if you ever get a chance.
Well, thank you so much for being here and telling us about the work of the IOGP.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
And thank you, viewers, for joining us on drillingcontractor.org.